Good morning. This is the first part of the second lecture on helicopters. We start with some basic helicopter theory. As you all know, flying means producing lift. For this, we have to use an airfoil. In the case of an airplane, we use the wing. In the case of a helicopter, we use the rotor. The essential element for generating lift on an airfoil is speed. This is why, in an airplane, we have to move forward at a speed v, while in a helicopter we do not require such forward speed as the rotor is rotating. There are more types of rotorcraft: the helicopter, the autogyro and the gyrodyne. The helicopter. In a helicopter, the rotor provides lift and propulsion. In an autogyro, also called gyrodyne, gyroplane, gyrocopter or rotaplanes, the rotor provides lift. Unlike a helicopter, the rotor is driven by aerodynamic forces alone. Thrust for the autogyro is provided by an engine-powered propeller similar to that of a fixed-wing aircraft. A gyrodyne is an autogyro with a powered rotor allowing vertical flight. The rotor is driven by an engine for takeoff, hovering and landing, like in a helicopter, but has also an additional propulsion system which is independent of the rotor system. The main types of helicopters are according to their number of rotors. In a classic helicopter, we have a rotor, a main rotor, and a tail rotor to provide the counter-rotating torque. In a tandem helicopter, two rotors placed forward and backwards of a helicopter are rotating counterclockwise, clockwise and counterclockwise. In the side-by-side configuration, the two rotors are placed in both sides of the helicopter and are counter-rotating. An intermeshing rotor, like the one of Kama'n, is having two rotors which are counter-rotating. Finally, the more and more popular helicopters for small air vehicles, the coaxial helicopters, are having two rotors placed one in top of the other, counter-rotating. Here are the configurations as I was discussing in life. The Bell 407, it has a single main rotor with anti-torque tail rotor. The Boeing CH-47 Chinook is a tandem rotor with two counter-rotating main rotors. The Kamov K-22, it has a side-by-side counter-rotating rotor. The Kamov K-50, it has a coaxial with counter-rotating rotors. The Kama'n K-Max, it has intermeshing rotors. Let's next concentrate on why do we need a tail rotor. As you know, the engine torque ensures blade rotation. Because of this, drag on the main rotors produces the main rotor torque. This torque acts as a reaction torque on the fuselage. The reason why helicopters are suffering the torque effect is that the engine is located in the fuselage. So, we need a tail rotor to provide the torque necessarily to counteract the main rotor torque. This is mostly in a conventional helicopter. Let's see what is this torque that we need. Assume a helicopter seen from above and assume Q is the engine torque. In this way, a reaction torque QR will be born on the fuselage. Assume the helicopter torque, the helicopter rotating counterclockwise with an RPM omega. We have the following notation. Azimuth angle is the angle of the blade relative to the main axis of the vehicle. In helicopters, mostly, the azimuth angle 0 is placed back at the rotor, and as we are rotating counterclockwise, in one rotation we go 360 degrees azimuth angle. Knowing the distance between the center of the main rotor to the tail rotor, we can calculate the tail rotor thrust as the torque of the engine divided by this distance. So the power that we need is the torque multiplied by omega. There are also other alternative concepts to the tail rotor. One of the most known is the fenestron. Here you see the Eurocopter EC-135 helicopter. The fenestron of this helicopter, it works like a ducted fan with tips enclosed and a large number of blades. Fenestron is more quiet and is safer. Another possibility is the NOTAR, no tail rotor concept. Here you see the MD-500 NOTAR helicopter. In a NOTAR, we have the tail boom behaving like a wing in the main rotor downwash. The NOTAR is using the Quanda effect. The Quanda effect is the tendency of a fluid jet to be attracted to a nearby surface. The NOTAR helicopter, it has high ground clearance, it is quiet and safer. There are also other configurations being tested without the need of a tail rotor. For example, the Ornicopter is a prototype developed currently at the TU Delft and with helicopters flapping its rotor as a bird. One can know that in a conventional helicopter, the drag that is acting on the rotor blades is counteracted by the torque that is exerted on the rotor. The rotor is thus rotating because of the torque that is transferred from the fuselage to the rotor. For the Ornicopter configuration, the drag that is acting on the rotor blades is counteracted by the propulsive force produced by the force flapping motion of the wing. In this way, there is no torque transferred from the fuselage to the rotor, and as a consequence, there is no reaction torque. This ends this part of the course.